Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Insane Game Freak here. So we got a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, and unfortunately, the Nintendo Direct starts at 5, which is when I get off. So literally, I will be walking out the door of my job before as the damn event starts, and probably by the time I get home, it'll be over. So there's no way I can do an actual reaction video proper. Unless I'm gonna sit in my parking lot for 30 minutes of my job to do a reaction video, and it ain't fucking worth it, because more than likely all the shit will get claimed by Nintendo anyway, so fuck that shit. But I thought at least I could do some predictions, because there are some games on the 3DS and Switch side that we can talk about. Some of them you probably have forgotten about, because a lot of them haven't been. Some of these games have not been talked about. I'm obviously gonna put in my traditional ones, but there are a few games that a lot of people aren't talking about because a lot of people forgot. So to kind of hit on the 3DS side, a lot of people think the only game they're going to talk about 3DS is going to be Detective Pikachu. I know there was a particular game that people forgot about. It was announced during E3 last year. Remember when Nintendo said they had 2 surprises, and one of them was a new IP, and people didn't know what they were talking about, and people thought it was going to be amazing because the first surprise was Metroid? And it turned out to be that sushi game. I forget the full title. It was like Fighting Sushi, or is it? I don't even know if I would call it a rhythm game. What the fuck would you call it? I guess it would be. I think it was called Sushi Striker. Sushi Striker is a 2018 game. We have literally heard nothing else about this game since that announcement, particularly because it had got such a lukewarm reception. Because A, it was a 3DS game, and B, it was an IP that didn't have an innately interesting it didn't grab people from the get-go, except for maybe that fucking trailer. That theme song was lit. I don't give a damn what anyone tells you. The other game that people may not know, and this one makes a little bit more sense because it hasn't been featured in America yet. It was featured in a Japanese Direct, but it was never mentioned in the American Direct, and we never knew if it was coming out over here. But it also hasn't been mentioned in Japan either, so it's about time for that game to get mentioned regardless. And that game is the Dylan's Rolling Western sequel. Well, not sequel. I think it's part 3. I forget the full name. I think if you translate the name, it was called The Dead Heat Breakers, which is Dylan's third game on the 3DS. I'm pretty happy about this, primarily because Dylan is such a cool fucking character. I like his design. I like the way this motherfucker looks. I like his world. It's just the fact that his game is A, relegated to the 3DS, and B, it's a tower defense game with an actual focus on action. This is another 3DS title you can mention. So if nothing else, you got 3 major 3DS titles you can talk about. This being one of them, because hey, we haven't heard. Once again, this is another game that A, has been Japan exclusive for their Direct, and B, even in Japan hasn't been talked about since that initial reveal in the Direct. So as far as 3DS coverage is concerned, that's 3 games you can talk about. Although Detective Pikachu, I guess you kind of need to talk about more formally, but it has a lot of footage rolling around, so it's not a big deal. Now, that's really all I have as far as 3DS titles. There might be some other third-party titles, like I think Persona Q2 was announced. That's another game they could show off. But in terms of like Nintendo specific, I think that's it. Those 3 titles. At least anything that's worth a damn anyway. The next games would be focused on the Switch, and a few of these I don't imagine them to get focused on a lot, but they could. For example, we just recently got the announcement that the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm trilogy is coming. Even it has a release date. It's apparently coming out April 26th, although from what I've heard it's a digital only release and it doesn't have the best resolution, but it is a game you could put in here as a quick aside, especially if they keep this quick fire format they've been doing. You could just be like, here comes Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Trilogy on the eShop April 26th. Another game they could localize because it came out in Japan, but they never really said anything about an American release date, is Pirate Warriors 3 for One Piece. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 was another game that came out last year in Japan, but they never really mentioned it for the US. So, mention it for the US is what I'm fucking saying here. Another game, and this would make sense because this game kind of needs to be talked about, period, anyway. Valkyria Chronicles 4. We know that the Switch is getting the game, and we know the game is pretty far into development. I think it's about done. at this point, it would make sense to go ahead and announce at least a release date, because it's got to be soon. I mean, we've been seeing footage, not directly from Nintendo, but we've been seeing footage of Valkyria Chronicles 4, screenshots and trailers and shit. Like, we need to have a formal trailer for it and have a release date at the end of the trailer. That's another game that needs to be brought up. Project Octopath, I imagine, would probably get an official title now. I don't think Project Octopath is supposed to be like a AAA game. It's definitely at the best a AA game. And I think that's what they're primarily going to stick to as far as this direct is concerned. Maybe like 1 or 2 AAA, but I think primarily it'll be AA and maybe lower tier titles. So it wouldn't surprise me if Project Octopath got a real, like, I wouldn't say, I guess a real trailer and a real name and probably at least a release window. It may not get a release date, but it'll probably get a release window. I would hope for a release date, but I know how my luck goes, so I'm not gonna go too far into it. Another thing that I'm gonna bring up as a prediction that some people, I'm surprised, I don't know how many people haven't brought it up, but I'm gonna bring it up. I think there's going to be an announcement for a Nintendo software update. I find it interesting that it wasn't until the playtime glitch started happening that Nintendo formally issued something about how there's a future system update coming. We'll have more details to share soon. And I'm like, over this. I mean, there are other issues with the Switch and other problems that were going on. Why is this particular one worth putting out tweets for? I think there's going to be a software update that will not only fix the issues as far as the playtime glitch that's going on, I bet it's going to add a few new things to the system, kind of hinting at that whole we're gonna especially because they just rolled out the whole my Nintendo release thing. I mean, the new features for My Nintendo. It wouldn't surprise me for them to use this update as a way of cross promoting for it. We also have the Pokken Tournament second DLC supposed to be coming out, and the Fire Emblem Warriors last DLC is supposed to be coming out. So it wouldn't surprise me if they talked about both of those games. And speaking of Fire Emblem, even though it's weird because Fire Emblem is gonna hit this weird point where it can be considered like a high tier franchise, but also like a mid tier franchise. It would not surprise me if they decided to at least show a CGI footage of, like CGI and maybe the title of the next Fire Emblem game. Remember, this game was confirmed to be being in development for the Switch back in February of last year. It's been a year, and the game was probably, at least in the works, had already started being worked on probably earlier, maybe late 2016. This tells me that that game is probably a good bit into development. I would almost argue it's probably almost done, because the last game they put out was in 2016, which was Shadows of Valentia, which was back in May. So they would have had literally since like summer of 2016 to be working on, if I got that time right. I may actually have that. No, I'm wrong. I'm lying. Disregard what I just said. I'm lying. Shadow of Valentia came out in 2017. I'm fucking stupid. I'm sorry. They would have at least had a year on this game, and that's if this game had just started development at that time. I would make the argument that game has probably been in development for at least, because Shadow of Valentia I wouldn't imagine was too hard to recreate, considering it's using the same essential engine as like Awakening and Fates. So I would probably guess that Shadows of Valentia probably was done maybe like a few months before. Like they're probably done with the bulk of development for Shadows of Valentia like early 2017, since the game released so quickly right after it was announced. Fire Emblem Switch has probably been in development, at least officially, probably at least a year, if not more. So I think we will probably get, if nothing else, a CGI trailer. And it's not like Intelligent Systems has been working on anything else. And Intelligent Systems can be working on other things, so they could have just devoted their entire team to the Fire Emblem game, and that game could easily come out holiday this year. So I think we'll at least get a trailer for the new Fire Emblem game. Because to me, that if we don't get anything else, Fire Emblem's probably going to be one of the heavy hitters for this year. So that's my assumption. going into other games, I'm trying to think what else could they really talk about. I also have a sneaking, going back to Pokken real quick, I have a sneaking suspicion there's another DLC character that's going to either get hinted at or revealed soon-ish regarding Pokken, because if you look at the DLC slots that'll be available right after they get Blastoise, it will create this one ugly looking gap at the bottom of the roster. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it was a new character. Now, the question is what this new character could be. Now, obviously they'll probably give release dates for Blastoise, but what they could do, and this would be on some next level shit if they did this, is if they didn't tell us until E3, and in E3 they start showing footage of the new Pokemon game, and in the last Pokken Tournament DLC character is a Pokemon from the next generation, aka the Switch game. That'd be some next level shit. Now, whether they're going to do that, I don't know, but that's just an idea I have, okay? And I guess to get into the Diablo 3 rumors, that seems to be very likely. So there's really no point in going into too much detail about that. There's a high suspicion that they're going to have a more like paid DLC for Mario Odyssey. Doesn't surprise me. The game is already almost sold 10 million within like what, 3 months? 3 maybe. Well, I guess it came out in October, so technically it's been like 4 or 5. But still, that's insanely good. It wouldn't surprise me for them to capitalize on this and to put out DLC for it. So, once again, it's a thing that it wouldn't surprise me that they do, but it's not really an interesting prediction. I think we're going to get a few, and then there's also rumors of Fortnite coming. Diablo makes more sense than Fortnite to me, but it wouldn't surprise me if they put if they put Fortnite on there too. Right now, the Switch is a high seller, and Nintendo has been doing a lot of non-traditional things. They'll probably talk about that Trials game they threw out a trailer for. Maybe not in full detail, but at least give like a release date of some sort for it. I don't remember if it had one because I literally looked at the trailer a few times at work, and I don't remember too much. But that's another game you could throw in there. Hyrule Warriors Deluxe Edition will probably get a release date because it doesn't have one in America. We already know about Mario Tennis Aces being talked about. I'm going to guess that's probably going to be a May release. It'll probably be the latter end of May. They'll have Donkey Kong probably start it and Mario Aces end it. Because Mario Aces is probably going to be one of those games that gets released before E3. I have a sneaking suspicion they might show a new trailer for Yoshi and give a full title. Because people don't realize that Yoshi still doesn't have a full title for it yet. I'm trying to think of any other major game that you could talk. I guess, and then if we're talking big games, a lot of people think that Smash might be at this particular direct, and the only reason why I'm doubting that is because that's implying that there's going to be some pretty big releases or big announcements in E3. To take Smash away from E3 does not make sense. I'm highly suspicious of what I'm trying to say. It wouldn't surprise me if because Smash is one of those games that can literally come anywhere, and you can literally put it anywhere. You can have it have its own direct. Smash will always bring in numbers. I put it this way: if they were to drop Smash now, like if they were to put out a Smash trailer today, like tomorrow, with like a new character and everything, I'd be highly interested to see what their E3 is going to be like. Because Smash, I feel like, is also a good falling back on franchise. I say you don't have a lot for E3. It would make sense to casually be like, hey, I don't have a lot for E3, so you know what we probably should do? Probably should throw some Smash in there. So I'm not 100% sure on that one. That one honestly could go either way. And I think if I had to throw a weird, out of left field prediction of a game that we might get that no one really saw coming, kind of like The World Ends With You, because The World Ends With You, although it made sense from Square Enix's standpoint, like in terms of, oh, that was the game on the DS, of course that would come back on the Switch. The one thing that probably needs to be addressed is like, okay, that was kind of out of nowhere to a degree because no one really thought they were going to be putting out a remake for it. So, if I had to pick a game that they would port to the Switch that no one would ever see, because I think it'll be a third-party game. I don't think it'll be a first-party game. Well, you know what? I'll make a guess for both. I'll make a guess for first-party and third-party. First-party, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring and say Punch-Out. I think it will be a new Punch-Out game. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm not even going to say, I'm going to say Star Fox. I'm going to say Star Fox. I'm going to say there's a new Star Fox game, and all it's going to be is what they've been doing for Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon. They'll just say there's a new Star Fox game in development, and boom. And it's like, oh shit. And it'll surprise everybody because it's like, bruh, you just had Star Fox. I'm surprised they're willing to give that franchise another chance, kind of thing. I think that'll be a cool mic drop, although people be incredibly paranoid because of how bad Zero was for a lot of people. Third party, I think it'll be Call of Duty. It'll be like one of the first times they actually show a Call of Duty game in Nintendo Direct. I think that would actually shock me if it was Call of Duty for the Switch and it was revealed during Nintendo Direct. So that's my guess. Like it gets its full like blown out gameplay demo, all that shit. So, oh, and I guess the only other thing we could bring up is Travis Touchdown, because that I don't know if that's a 2018 game. If nothing else, we'll get another trailer for it. If nothing else. And I don't think there'll be many indies, if any indies, in this game. So, I mean in this showcase. Direct. Holy shit. So I think those are all my theories. We'll see what comes true. You guys can look back and say I'm a prophet or say I'm full of shit. That's just my guesses. So please leave yours in the thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And thank you guys for watching. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace. Motherfucker. Ha 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 ha.